Hey everybody, how's it going? Jesús Ramirez here with the Daily Photoshop Creative Challenge number 3. It's nice to have all of you here again with me today. In today's stream, we're going to learn how to create a movie poster using blending modes in Photoshop. It's nice to see a whole bunch of people in the chat with us already. As always, there's Kata Jones. Kata, I love seeing your name every time I look at the screen. You're always active, not just on my streams, but in everybody else's. So thank you for being so supportive. And hi, Anna. How's it going? Sam, Malini. Good to see everybody. So before we get started, I just want to quickly mention what we're doing here today in case this is your first time joining us. So if you haven't already, go into behance.net and go into the Daily Creative Challenge page. It's on behance.net/Daily Creative Challenge, and make sure that you click on this big blue button so that you get notifications on the Creative Cloud app whenever a new daily creative challenge goes live. So please click on that button. Also, make sure that you join the live show, which is at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. I'm in San Francisco, California, and I know we have people from all over the world. I can already see some people are from Argentina, and that is, I just lost the Mercedes, or probably Mercedes Campo from Argentina. So good to see you. We got people, oh my God, it just started going so fast. UK, Puerto Rico, a whole bunch of places. But anyway, so all the daily creative challenges are at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. And I'll be working on a Photoshop challenge that you can follow along with and then create a project that you can actually display on your Behance page or that you could share with us on our Discord channel. And I'll explain what that is in a moment. But whatever you create with us, make sure that you upload on Behance and use the keyword PS Daily Challenge, and I'll copy that. That's because you can actually see everybody's work if you paste that keyword on the search bar. PS Daily Creative Challenge, and you can see a lot of the work that people have been creating. We worked on the comic book effect, so you can see that cat here that we applied a comic book effect from a photo. It's a pretty neat effect. Check it out. That was challenge number 1. Challenge number 2, which was yesterday, was an album cover, and you can see all these different cool album covers that people are submitting, so check those out. And one very important thing, you'll notice that the keyword is case sensitive, so PS needs to be in capital letters. So PS in capital letters, daily challenge in lowercase. Also, when you're on the Daily Creative Challenge page, scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see a link to join the Discord community, which looks like this. This is a community where myself, the Adobe team, and users just like you can interact and give feedback. As you can see, I gave feedback on this amazing poster. And Austin actually took the advice and made the text a little bigger. So this is the kind of stuff that you'll see on Discord. This is on the design feedback channel where you will upload whatever you create with us here at the Daily Creative Challenges. You also have Ask a Question, tips and tricks, and a whole bunch of other ways of connecting with myself, the Adobe team, and other users just like you. So in today's challenge, we're going to create the double exposure effect to create a movie poster. And if you go into the Daily Creative Challenge page, you'll see these boxes, and some of these boxes have a link that read get the template. If there's a challenge with a Photoshop file included, then this is where you would download that file. For this template, the file is not really required, but I would recommend downloading it so that you get the appropriate dimensions for a movie poster. And I have a sample file there that you can use in case you don't have the right image. So you can download this template and get started. So let me just go into Photoshop and show you what that template looks like. So it's just a template with the dimensions of a movie poster. And I have this image here that is not required, I'll explain in a moment why I've included it, but if for whatever reason you download the template and it's not linking to the Adobe stock asset, that's okay. You can go into Adobe stock, so that's at stock.adobe.com, and then you can enter this number here, 563910026 in the search to bring up this image, and then you can use these icons here to either save it to your library, download it into your desktop, or just open it up right in the app. But again, it's not necessary. The only reason I've included this image is so that you can have a photo of someone on a white background. And that's the important thing for this challenge for today, that we need to have either a person, an animal, the main subject, whatever it is, needs to be in front of a white background. If you don't have a white background, that's okay. You can take a photo, a selfie of yourself or somebody else in front of a white wall, and that will work just fine. It just needs to be a solid white or light gray color for this to work. And that's why this file is there. In case you don't have one, you can practice with this one, and then you could then go take a photo later and replace the image. So important thing is white background. Oh, and by the way, if you have a photo that you want to use for this and it doesn't have a white background, that's okay. You can actually follow yesterday's challenge on removing a background, and then instead of adding a texture like we did on the album cover, you can just use a white layer. And I'll quickly show you how that works, just so that you have an idea. But if you want the actual step-by-step, just watch yesterday's challenge. So let me just open up this. Actually, it was challenge number 2, not challenge number 1. So sorry about that. Challenge number 2 is the album cover, is this one here. And as you recalled, we use this man to create the album cover. So I'll quickly go through the steps of removing the background. But for all the step-by-steps, go back to yesterday's video and check it out. But basically, what you want to do is select the quick selection tool, click on select subject. Adobe Sensei, which is Adobe's artificial intelligence, will analyze the image and make a selection around the main subject of the image. As you can see there, it did a really good job. You need to fine tune it a little bit, but I'm not going to. Again, go to yesterday's video and see how I fine tuned this image to get better straight edges. But the point is that once you have a selection active, you can click on this icon to create a layer mask, which will hide the background. Then below that layer, all you need to do is create a solid color and change that color to white and press OK. When you have an image with a white background, all you need to do is just save it, and you can save an image by going into File, Export, Export As, and you can save the image as a PNG or a JPEG. I can select the JPEG in this case, and then click on Export All, and then save that into your computer and bring that in. So this is just a real quick explanation on how you can get a white background in case you want to use an image that you already have that does not have a white background. So let me just close this file, and we're going to start with the actual template file that, once again, you can download from the behance.net Daily Creative Challenge. You scroll down, and under Thursday, May 2nd, you'll have the double exposure challenge, and you can click on Get the Template. So here we are with this template. And the way this works is by having the image with the white background at the bottom, and I'm just gonna call this layer bottom because that'll be my bottom image, the one with the white background. And on top of that, I'm gonna place another image, and this could be any image that you want. It's totally up to you. What I have is an image of a city, and I'm just gonna get that from my desktop, and I'm just gonna place it. And actually, what I should have done is not open it, but place it. So go into File and click on Place Embed, and then select the city sunset image. So once again, File, Place Embed, Embedded, and place that image over your movie poster, and just make it as large as you need to so that it covers the entire movie poster. And I think in my case, I'll make it even bigger so I can have more room to work with, like so. If you're in Photoshop and you're ever in this situation like I am now, where I can't actually see the corner handles of the image that I'm working with and you want to see those corner handles so you can scale it and adjust it, there's a keyboard shortcut that allows you to zoom out all the way until you can see the corner handles. And the way to do that is on Windows, pressing the Control key and the number 0. On Mac is Command and the number 0. And you'll notice how Photoshop zooms out and we can actually see the corner handles, and we can continue clicking and dragging on those corner handles if we need to, or rotating the image as well. In this case, I think this will work. So I'll just click on this check mark to confirm the transformation, and we're ready to go to the excuse me, to the next steps. So what I'm going to do now is blend these two images together to create that double exposure effect. And there's a lot of ways in which you can blend images in Photoshop, but one of the easiest ways of blending images is by using blending modes. Blending modes are mathematical equations that blend images together. And don't worry, we're not going to be doing any math. Blending modes are just an option that we select, and Photoshop does the math behind the scenes, and that's all we need to worry about, no math. But the important thing to remember is how the blending modes work. So if you click on this drop down, you'll see a list of blending modes, and I can click and hover over the different blending modes to get a different effect. Now, a lot of times this is what most people do, just click and drag over the different blending modes and get an effect. But there's actually categories of blending modes. If you click on this drop down, you'll notice these lines in between the blending modes. That's because those are categories. And the categories are divided into different groups, or different, the categories have different names. So we have the normal category, darken, lighten, contrast, inversion, and component. And what that means is that the normal category simply reduces the blend when you reduce the opacity. That's the only way you can blend images. The darken category makes things darker. The lighten category makes things brighter. The contrast category makes things darker or brighter depending on the luminance values of the images that you're working with. Inversion creates sort of like special effects. We're not going to use that too much. And then components uses one of the 3 components that make up a color. So if I double click on the foreground color picker, you'll see that I can select any color that I want, right? Any color, it doesn't really matter. But if I select, for example, red, that particular red, you'll notice that it has a value of a value for hue, a value for saturation, and a value for brightness. So those 3 components, right? What is hue? Simply, you can think of hue as simply what color something is. So blue, pink, red, green, yellow, whatever color you select, you can think of that as a hue. Saturation is how intense it is. So at 100%, it's at its most intense, and at 0%, it's at its lower intensity. Then we have brightness, and I think that's the easiest one to understand. Brightness is either really bright or really dark, all the way until it gets to black. So those are the 3 components that this category controls. So hue, saturation, luminosity, and color is a combination of hue and saturation. So this is all you need to know about blending modes in order for you to use them efficiently. So with that information, we can come back into the project that we're working with. And if we want to create the double exposure effect, what do? Well, if we look at the background, we know that the background is completely white. So that's going to contain the image that we're working with, because we're going to select a blending mode that prioritizes bright pixels. We're going to use blending modes in the lighten category. And the lighten blending mode, when I select that, you'll notice that we already get the double exposure effect. What lighten does is it looks at pixels in both layers and it just keeps the brightest one. That's it. That's why the white background comes through. Anything that is dark becomes transparent. Anything that is black becomes invisible. Now, before we move any further, I actually want to license this image so that I can remove the watermark. So when you're working with Adobe stock assets, you can right click on an image and select license image, and you should be able to license the image that you're working with, which means that it will remove the watermark and I can start working with the high resolution version of that photo, which is what I want to do. And it'll take a second to update. I just licensed it, and if I go into my libraries panel, there should be image here updating the watermark, and it's actually gone. While I was looking for the actual image in the libraries panel, you saw how the watermark was removed, and now I'm working with the full resolution version of that image. But anyway, so now just to make things easier to see, I'm just going to close these panels just because I want to have more room in the layers panel, because that's where all the action is going to happen. So we have two layers, the bottom layer and the top layer. In the top layer, we set the blending mode to lighten. That created that double exposure effect. If I click on the move tool, I can click and drag and move the image around, and I can just place it accordingly until I get a good composition between my background and the image that I'm working with. In this case, I'll just leave it here. But now, the power of Photoshop is that we can actually start controlling the luminance values of each layer. And if we control the luminance values, we control how the image is blended, and we can create much more interesting effects. For example, I can create a black and white adjustment layer. And I'm gonna click the properties panel and drag it into this tab so that I can have more room to work with. So the black and white adjustment layer makes things black and white, like so. And then you can make things darker or brighter using these sliders. I'm dragging the blue sliders at the moment, so blues, darker or brighter. And the reason that it's adjusting the shirt is because the shirt was originally blue. So this adjustment layer targets the original colors and makes them darker or brighter. Darker or brighter. But I can bring back the color if I change the blending mode. So I can change the blending mode to luminosity on that layer, and it brings back the color. And I can still adjust the luminance value. See that? See how the shirt's still getting darker or brighter? Watch what happens when I enable the top layer. I can make the shirt invisible, or I can make it completely solid. That's because I'm adjusting the luminance values, and the blending mode changes the blend based on the brightness of what I select. So I can adjust his face in the reds, because that's where most of the skin tones are. Also, some yellow. We can find some of the colors in the skin tones in the yellows as well. And we can adjust all the different colors accordingly to try to get a better blend. So I would suggest playing around with this adjustment layer until you get a blend that you're happy with. And you can also do the same thing, of course, on the top layer. You can select a black and white adjustment layer. The only difference with the top layer is that you need to create a clipping mask. This icon here, this square with the down pointing arrow, when you click on it, you create a clipping mask, which means that this adjustment layer only controls the layer directly below it, and that's what we want. I'm also going to change the blending to luminosity, and I can control the luminance values of the building to also control how they blend with the background image, with the image of this man here. So this is a great way of creating the double exposure effect, because you can get really targeted blends and adjustments that make everything look really cool. Now, you're not stuck with the colors that are found in your image. You can actually apply the same effect that we applied yesterday on the image, excuse me, on the image, on the album cover, because we can use a gradient map that'll just color the entire image. So if you watched yesterday's stream, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You can go into this icon here to create a gradient map, and a gradient map simply maps the colors on the map onto your image based on the luminance values. And let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to click on this gear icon and reset my gradients and press OK. And I'm going to select this gradient here. So this means that any color that is dark will be purple, and any color that is bright will be orange. And that's how it maps the colors onto the image. So you can use this if you want to. You can also click on this gear icon and go into photographic toning, press OK, and get these really cool photographic tones that you can apply to your double exposure effect to create your movie poster. And by the way, something I haven't mentioned is that this is step 1. Today's challenge is step 1 of the movie poster. Step 2 will be tomorrow, creating the movie titles. So you can follow along with today's challenge, create your movie poster, and then tomorrow we're going to create the titles using the type tool and layer styles to give it a look and a style that it will be cool for this movie poster. So you can follow along today, create a movie poster. You can add a title if you want. Send it to us on Discord, upload it to Behance. But tomorrow we'll be back again, and we're going to include the titles. So this is the double exposure effect. You can apply the color gradient map if you want, or you can use the original colors. The choice is totally up to you. I can see that people are saying they're gonna go back and watch yesterday's stream. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend watching it. One thing I should mention is that once you're done with your project, what you wanna do, in case you want to save it, is simply go into File, Export, Export As. You can go into the JPEG format, or you can use a PNG if you like, but JPEG is probably is what most people are familiar with. And click on Export All. I'll save it in my desktop, and I'll just call it double exposure. And save it. And of course, take it to Behance. Create a project. I'll open it up in a new tab. So I'll create a project. You can upload your file, which is my double exposure image. And you can have that high resolution image there. It's currently uploading. There it is. And I can click on continue, and I can adjust the cover of the image and use this slider to adjust the scale of your preview and give it a title. I'll just call it movie poster, and click on crop and continue. And the most important part is under discoverability is the keyword. Remember, add this keyword here, PS Daily Creative Challenge. PS in capital letters, Daily Creative Challenge in lowercase. That's very important. And I'll just paste that on there, and then add a comma, and that'll be the keyword, and click on save or publish if you're ready to publish your image. Also, don't forget to share that movie poster with us on Discord. On design feedback, I'll be giving some design feedback. And oh look, there we go. We have the cheat sheet for the blending modes. Thank you for uploading it, Rod. So as you can see, a lot of valuable information is being shared on here. So if you haven't already, click on this link way at the bottom of the Daily Creative Challenge page to join the Discord community. I'm using Photoshop CC. If you don't have that, you can get Photoshop CC on here. There's a 7-day trial that you can download, or you can get the $9 a month plan for the Creative Cloud. So check that out. Once again, I'm going to be back tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, and we're going to be working on part number 2 of the movie poster, where I'm going to show you how to add the title of the image using the type tool, and we're going to apply layer styles so that we give it a really cool effect. So be here tomorrow. Click on this big blue button so that you can register and get notifications. That's it for today's challenge. Thank you so much for being with me today. Stick around because we have Paul Tranny and Christine Arth coming up right after me, and they're going to be showing a lot of cool things on a brand redesign. So thank you so much for watching and for being with me. My name is Jesús Ramirez. I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another Daily Creative Challenge. Thank you so much.